are on Unit 2 of the subject HR in Global Perspective. Unit 2 of this subject talks about the global HR functions. All the HR functions which you have learned till now, right from recruitment, selection, training, development, performance management, compensation management, everything, when they are done at a global level, at an international level, they are categorized as global HR management. Before we go to each of them one by one, let's first refresh the three types of employees which we have seen. If you remember, HCN, TCN and PCN. These are the three types of employees when we talk about business which is done at the global level. PCN means parent country nationals, those employees who belong to the parent company or home country. HCN means host country nationals, those employees who belong to the host country. And all other employees are third country nationals. You also must be remembering the four approaches to HRM. That is ethnocentric, polycentric, regiocentric and geocentric. You must always be familiar with these terms when we talk about IHRM. Now let us see the different HR related functions, beginning with recruitment and selection, then you have compensation, training and development, performance management, motivation and industrial relations. So we are going to study all of them. We have actually already studied all of them, but now we are going to see the global aspect of these functions. We begin with the first one, recruitment and selection at the international level. So at the international level, employees are available from the international labor market. These employees can be PCN, HCN, TCN, that is parent country nationals, host country nationals and third country nationals. So for your global staffing needs, you can use any of these four here in unit number 1. So what is this ethnocentric approach? In ethnocentric approach, parent country nationals only will be favored. तो जहाँ पे भी वो कंपनी उसकी सब्सिडरीज खोलती है, ब्रांचेस खोलती है, वहाँ पे जो होम कंट्री है, जहाँ कंट्री ऑफ ओरिजिन है, उसके ही एम्प्लॉयज जाएंगे सब जगह. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एथनोसेंट्रिक अप्रोच. Polycentric approach is where the host country national will manage the subsidiaries. For example, if the country's headquarters is situated in USA and it is opening its subsidiary in India, if it hires Indian people, this approach is called as polycentric approach. Third is geocentric approach, where um, the employees from all over the world are considered and the best ones are hired. Your ability becomes more important than nationality. And the regiocentric approach is similar to geocentric, but only thing is that the hiring is done from a particular region. For example, अगर India में करना है तो all the countries around India will be considered for hiring. So this is called as regiocentric approach. Now this selecting an expatriate. Who is an expatriate first of all? Any employee whom you are sending for a international assignment becomes your expatriate. जिसको आप लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए इंटरनेशनल असाइनमेंट या प्रोजेक्ट के लिए भेज रहे हो, उसको बोलते हैं एक्सपैट्रिएट. So as the HR manager, when you are selecting a person, your employee for an international assignment, that is expatriate selection, you need to study and be very careful about the qualities of that person, because if he fails at the international level, you will be unnecessarily wasting the resources of your organization. Not only that, the employee himself or herself uh, uh, will be very much demotivated if he does not succeed. So as the HR manager, when you are taking the selection decision, you need to consider the technical ability of the person who is going for the international assignment. Besides that, you should also find out and assure that that employee is able to adjust to the new culture. That means cross cultural suitability. Then, if the employee has too many family responsibilities, like he has aged parents or small children to look after, then it will be very difficult for you to send that employee for an international assignment. You have to see how these family requirements are managed by the employee. Besides these individual factors, you will also have to see some other factors like whether the employee knows the language of the country in which he is going to be sent, what are the cultural requirements of that country, and what are the requirements of the organization in which he is going to work in the foreign country. Now, as the HR manager, you must understand why the workforce diversity is necessary. Why do you want people from different countries working together? If you are a multinational company, then this type of workforce diversity has many benefits. It helps in increasing adaptability amongst your employees. The service range which you can provide to your customers becomes broader. There are various viewpoints which are shared. Execution of work becomes more effective because you have more number of people working together, more number of people with more talents working together. Communication becomes good. Resistance to change becomes lesser because people having diverse ideas are working for you. And implementation of diversity in the workplace policy becomes good. Now, how can you manage a global diverse workforce? If you have people from different nationalities working together, for the HR manager, this is a very, very challenging job. So, what can you do? First, you should have fairness in hiring. Just because a person belongs to a particular nationality, you should not hire the person. A person will be hired based on his or her capabilities. You should create a diverse work group. Similar type of people, similar people staying in a particular area or nation together. That should not be done. You should have a diverse work group. Handle complaints effectively. Provide diversity training. When you are orienting your employees for international assignment, you should give them a diversity training, which helps them to cope and adapt to the new situation over there. The second function which we will be talking about in this unit is international compensation. You have already learned before in HR about compensation. What is the meaning of compensation? It is the remuneration which is paid by the employer to the employee in return for his services. This can be monetary or and non-monetary. What will this include? Base salary, benefits, perquisites, long and short-term incentives. Then you may have various other ways in which you are compensating the employee. At the international level, this compensation remains the same. But in addition to that, you may have some other components. Let's try to understand them. Before that, let us see the objectives of international compensation. Whenever you talk about compensation, you all must be aware that most of the disputes between employer and employee are because of inadequate compensation or the employee not happy with the compensation. So as the HR manager, you should see that the compensation, especially at the international level, is consistent, it is proper, helpful to meet the present and future need of the employee. It is progressive. It attracts and retains good employees. It provides employee satisfaction, and it is very transparent and clear. Now let's see the components of international compensation program. It is as same as any other compensation which is done at the national level, where you have a base salary which may consist of basic salary. Then you, in addition to the base salary, you will have a foreign service inducement and hardship premium. This is something new, only applicable in case of international compensation, because the employee is leaving the country of origin and going to settle for a long period of time in a new country where he has to face difficulties, do lots of adjustment, adapt to the new culture. So as an incentive, a inducement and hardship premium is given. Then there are several allowances like cost of living allowance, housing allowance, education allowance, sometimes even relocation allowance, because the employee is going to be relocated. He is moving home. He is going to be change his full location from one country to another. So relocation allowance, home leave allowance, spouse assistance. Sometimes when the employee has been working in the foreign country for a long period of time, he may feel homesick, he want to go home and meet his family. So for that, home leave allowance. And if the husband or wife of the employee is also joining him or her in the new country, then any assistance required for relocation, for searching for a job, etc. So all this will be covered in the components of international compensation program. Now there are three approaches basically for this international compensation program, where you have going rate approach, balance sheet approach, and local plus approach. Now what is going rate approach? Going rate approach means the approach which is used where you are following the compensation which is given in the host country. Going rate, वहाँ का जो rate चल रहा है वो host country. यानी for example, अगर the same example I will take, headquarter is in US, they have started their subsidiary in India, then they will use, if they are using the going rate approach, they will use the compensation policies which are followed in India, that is going rate approach. वहाँ पे जो चल रहा है वो approach, in going rate approach they are going to give compensation accordingly. Now if along with the going rate approach, to encourage the expatriate who is gone for international assignment, they will offer something addition that is called as local plus. यानी locally जो rate चल रहा है वो plus something else. It could be allowances which will be relocation allowances, hardship allowances, or education for children of the expatriate. यानी जो rate चल रहा है वो plus और कुछ addition में आप दे रहे हो तो उसको बोलते हैं local plus. Third approach is balance sheet approach. Balance sheet approach tries to balance the compensation which is given in the host country and which would have been earned by that expatriate in his home country. तो दोनों के बीच में बैलेंस करने के लिए जो अप्रोच होता है उसको बोलते हैं बैलेंस शीट अप्रोच. Now all these approaches have their own advantages and disadvantages. Which approach to be used, that will depend on the requirements of the multinational organization. If you are using going rate approach, there is an equality with the locals, यानी जो local people को मिल रहा है वो ही इनको मिलेगा. Then this approach is very simple, इसमें कुछ ज़्यादा calculation करने का ज़रूरत नहीं है. The employee will identify with host country and there will be equity among people with different nationalities. So whether you are working in, if you are working in India, you will be paid just like any other Indian, whether you are from US, UK, Europe, any other country. Disadvantage of this is that the employee may not be happy with the compensation which is given by going rate approach, because he definitely has to face with lots of hardships when he is leaving his own country. In case of balance sheet approach, the advantage is that there is an equity between different assignments between assignees of the same nationality. जैसा उनका काम है उस तरह से उनको compensation दिया जाएगा. This facilitates the assignee re-entry and it is easy to communicate to the employee. The employees are usually happy with this kind of approach. However, disadvantage is it can lead to disparity between assignee of different nationalities in the same country. एक ही कंपनी में काम कर रहे हैं, एक ही डिपार्टमेंट में काम कर रहे हैं, बट उनका सैलरी अलग अलग हो सकता है.